Welcome to this Faculty Program Proposal Guide for UVU Faculty-Led Study Abroad programs. This guide is intended for full-time UVU faculty that want to lead a group of UVU students abroad for academic credit. If your trip abroad with UVU students does not include academic credit, then there is a separate proposal process that you will need to follow. By the end of this orientation, you should have all the information you need to start a proposal, but I highly recommend that you meet with me or send me drafts of your proposal before the September 2nd deadline, so that I can help you refine any issues that need to be caught before the proposal deadline. I'm always open for consultations. Please feel free to meet with me by making an appointment. Study abroad is at the heart of UVU's culture of engaged learning. For students, stepping into unfamiliar cultures and experience requires adaptability and the ability to see the world from different perspectives. You, as the faculty, are their guide in this experience, and you need to be prepared for this responsibility. The proposal process is a tool for you to help you prepare for leading a study abroad program. Study abroad at UVU is regulated by UVU policies. Two of the most relevant policies for study abroad are Policy 251, which deals with traveling on university business, and Policy 252, which talks about international travel for students, faculty, and staff. The Office for Global Engagement at UVU has responsibilities that are outlined in these policies. One of the Office for Global Engagement's best services to faculty is to help them navigate these policies and to help you comply with these policies as you lead students abroad. The Office for Global Engagement vets proposals for compliance with these policies, but ultimately your department or college owns the program and is responsible for what goes on the program. The proposal form serves as a checklist to help ensure that you are running a safe and engaging experience for your students that follows policy, is financially sustainable, and academically appropriate. It also lets UVU, the Office for Global Engagement, your department and college know what you are doing so that we can support you and help strengthen your program. The form is due September 2nd, after you have had a chance over the summer to develop the logistics of the program so that we can recruit for the program over the fall semester and the beginning of the spring semester. The form itself includes 3 pages of questions. Each question has a blue text that you can expand upon so that you can completely answer the question. This form is designed to help you think through the different aspects of a program, including program and recruiting logistics, course information, travel logistics including flights, housing, transportation, providers and vendors, and itinerary, and health and safety considerations. There is a separate budget sheet that I will explain in a different slide, and there is also submission instructions. You should submit your proposal to the Office for Global Engagement first. After the Office for Global Engagement has reviewed it, we will send it to your chair and dean for final approval. The form includes several attachments that you will need to include in your proposal, including a course syllabi, price quotes, and a program itinerary if you don't include it within the text of the proposal itself. I will discuss each of these components in detail in further slides. Faculty program directors should be experts in the countries to which they are taking students. This means that ideally you will have spent significant time in the country so that you have gone through many ups and downs of culture shock so that you have the cross-cultural communication skills to successfully lead students there. Ideally, you will speak the language of the country that you are taking students to a level that you understand nuances and that you have the ability to monitor local news for safety concerns. If you do not have these skills, then you should definitely be working with local contacts in the country that do. These local contacts should have connections to institutions such as universities or businesses that can invoice us and that we can contract with. These local contacts should know what they're doing, but you shouldn't have to rely on them so much that you don't know what they are doing or what is going on. It is helpful if they have experience with U.S. students, though not necessary. Faculty are responsible to maintain appropriate interactions between hosts and guides with which they contact. There are program development funds the Office for Global Engagement may have available to the dean of your college. Please come and meet with me if you have never been to the country or each of the cities to which you intend to take students, so that we can see if there's any funds available for you to do a site visit. There are 4 types of people that are authorized by university policy to participate on a study abroad program. Faculty and students are the principal participants. Faculty must be full-time faculty or full-time staff authorized to teach within an academic department. Each program may have 1 or 2 faculty program directors who need to be listed on the program proposal. Any other faculty from the department or college or university that are tagging along need to register their travel separately with the university. At an open admissions university like UVU, just about anyone over the age of 18 can be a student. Community members can register as non-degree seeking students. All students must register for at least 1 credit of study abroad course credit. Accompanying adults are generally spouses or partners of faculty program directors. By policy, they can participate, but no expenses can be covered by the program or university money, and they must register with the university to sign waivers and to be covered by UVU insurance. Accompanying minors are generally the children under the age of 18 for which faculty program director has legal guardianship. They can also come along, but their expenses can't be covered by the program or university money. They must register so that a parent can sign a waiver, can be covered by UVU insurance. They must have a full-time caregiver, which is generally an accompanying adult traveling with the group, so that the faculty can pay attention to the students at all times. The Federal Fair Labor Standards Act regulates part-time employment. UVU's HR and General Counsel have determined that the travel requirements and the 24/7 nature of study abroad programs makes it impractical to hire part-time assistants, volunteers, or interns. Students on programs may not serve as assistants or be given any responsibility beyond their coursework. Faculty program directors can't offer discounts to students from program funds or pay for airfare or give any privileges to students for services rendered to the program. Similarly, you can't hire community members or past student participants to serve as assistants to the program. All community members must register as students and be registered for credit. Spouses, parents, friends of students cannot participate on a study abroad program unless they register as a student as well. People from our community that just happen to be in the country cannot participate on any activities coordinated by the study abroad program. It is very unlikely that friends or family of students on the program or people from our community would just show up at the same time and place as a study abroad program without coordination from students or the faculty program director. Anything that is coordinated by the faculty program director becomes part of the UVU program, and thus UVU is liable for anything that happens on that program. The courses that you teach as part of this study abroad program should be relevant to the country to which you are taking students, and the syllabus should be site-specific, meaning that the location of the study abroad program should enhance the curriculum, and assignments should incorporate unique aspects of the location and culture. Each faculty can teach no more than 2 courses per program. If there are 2 faculty program directors, there can be up to 4 courses from which students can choose. Anything more than this needs explicit permission from the dean. The Office for Global Engagement does not approve the courses. Chairs and deans will approve credit for programs and are responsible for ensuring the academic integrity of the programs. Utah Valley University is a member of the Forum on Education Abroad, which is a national organization that sets standards for study abroad programming. The Forum on Education Abroad website has a curriculum toolbox where you can access syllabi and sample assignments from study abroad programs from different universities around the country. There are also video interviews with award-winning faculty that have won awards for creating best practice study abroad programming. Please contact me if you are interested in getting access to this curriculum toolbox, and I can set you up with a username and password. Faculty program directors are expected to be up to date with current events in the country of the study abroad program. The study abroad proposal will prompt you to check State Department and Center for Disease Control websites for health and safety risks. Any proposal for programs with State Department Level 3 or 4 alerts or Center for Disease Control warnings Level 3 will require the provost to sign off on an exemption request for travel. The Office for Global Engagement will also send you security messages that are relevant to your country that we receive from our insurance company GeoBlue. The proposal form will ask you to describe the housing in which students will be staying. The policy requires that faculty sleep in a separate room from students. Each student should have a single bed to themselves. Please describe the safety and security features of the housing that you have chosen. All rooms should have locks on doors. There should be a safe place for students to keep valuables. You should describe any security or fire hazard mitigations that have been made to enhance the safety and security of students. If host families are used, please explain how those host families were vetted. If you're working with a provider in country to provide the host families, please explain how they have vetted the host families. The proposal will prompt you to list providers, travel agencies, or vendors that you will be using for travel logistics and how the university will pay them. This will require you to ask for price quotes for major purchases that you should include with your proposal. There is no need for any contract reviews if the vendor will be sending you a simple invoice. The university can pay those by wire transfer or by travel card. Contracts that do need a university signature will have to be reviewed by the Office for Global Engagement and the Office of General Counsel and/or the Procurement and Contracts Office. Faculty don't have the authority to sign contracts on behalf of the university, so if you are given a contract, please send it to me as soon as possible so that I can get that review done. You may not be able to get the contract until you know the final number of students, which you may not know until February after the application deadline. In this case, give me the contract as soon as possible and we'll get it rushed through. If at all possible though, if you can send me a contract in the fall semester, that will give us more time to go through the reviews that we need to go through with the Office of General Counsel or Procurements and Contracts. You will be asked to document the program costs that you list in your program budget by including price quotes for the 3 largest purchases of your program. This may be a hotel, this may be flights, it could be program fees from a provider. Price quotes come in many different forms. Ideally, it will be a price quote on a company letterhead, but it could be a screenshot of a listed price on the internet. It could be receipts from a previous year's program if the prices are expected to be the same. The Office for Global Engagement has a collection of Lonely Planet guidebooks that list prices that you can make photocopies from and use that as your price quote. At the very least, you should get an email from the provider explaining the costs and use that as your price quote. Many countries have large informal economies to circumvent taxes or licensing. For auditing purposes, though, you should work whenever possible within the formal economy and work with companies that have basic business practices down that approximate U.S. accounting standards. When you come back, you're going to be asked to provide receipts, and those receipts need to fit within the Concur system so that auditors don't raise flags when they see them. From my own experience in South America, I've lived there for many years. Oftentimes people will ask you when you purchase something at a store if you want con factura or sin factura, which means with a receipt or without a receipt. The correct answer to that question is with a receipt. That means that you're getting a receipt that you can use for your Concur reconciliation report when you come back. So start the relationship off correctly by asking them to provide formal price quotes. That's a good sign that if they can give you a formal price quote, they're also going to be able to give you a formal receipt in the end. There is a tendency for some faculty to work with people in country. They say, I know a guy, he can set this whole thing up for us, but that guy can't give you a receipt, he can't give you a formal price quote, probably because he's working outside of the formal economy. If that guy doesn't have enough institutional connections to provide you with itemized quotes and invoices, and to have the basic business practices down to allow the university to work with them without raising audit flags, then maybe you should work with a different company or a different guy. The proposal includes a budget worksheet that you will need to fill out. At the top of the worksheet, it asks you what the minimum number of students the program can take. For a program to be sustainable, generally that minimum number for one faculty should be at least 10 students. All calculations on the worksheet need to reflect the minimum number of students that you can take. If you make the calculations based off of the maximum number of students, then you're setting yourself up for having to raise the program price unless you meet the maximum number of students. There are 4 sections on this worksheet. The first section asks you to break down the faculty costs. Faculty program costs are generally paid by student program fees. The cost for the faculty flights, housing, per diem, in-country transportation, excursions, etc. should all be listed in this first section. Per diem rates are based off of the State Department's per diem rates. That's the amount that they pay diplomats when they are traveling. Many faculty decide to reduce the per diem rate to the actual amount of cost that they think it's going to cost them. But you can go up to the per diem rate when you list that. The second part is the program fee. The program fee is the amount the university will be charging to students. If the airfare is included in the program, list it here. Most faculty do not include airfare in their program, so therefore it will be listed as an additional cost down here. Please list all other costs, including housing, meals, excursions, anything that is included in the program, list it in the program cost. You will notice that there is a place for faculty costs. You will take the total of all of the faculty costs and you will divide it by the minimum number of students to get the faculty cost per student to include in this cost. Please add them all up to get the total cost of the faculty. You will need to add a 2% contingency buffer to this for emergencies and contingencies, just as good budget hygiene. The additional student costs are costs that the students need to budget for but are not included in the program fee. We will list these costs on our website so that students have a good understanding of how much money they're going to need to save for this program. The biggest cost on there is usually airfare. If airfare is not included in the program cost, please include that down in the additional student costs. Tuition is another big ticket item that is not included in the program fee. The tuition is $165 per credit hour for summer study abroad programs. Finally, you will add up all of these costs to get a total bottom line that the student will end up having to pay for the study abroad program. Students will be advised that they can come in and talk to our study abroad advisor, and she will work out with them a budget worksheet that will include all of these costs. They can take that budget worksheet to their financial aid advisor and potentially use financial aid if they have that available to them for all of these program costs, including the additional student costs. So please make sure that you double check your math on this sheet. I will be double checking your math on this sheet as well, and we may have to go back and forth on this until we come to an understanding of exactly what the costs are so that we can accurately reflect to the students what those costs are. In February, after the application deadline, when you actually get your final number of students, there will be a chance to readjust this budget and will give a more accurate cost to the students at that point. It's always better to readjust it down than to have to raise the price. So please budget based off of the minimum number of students. Please note, anytime where it says enter text, you can enter as much text as possible. It does ask for a cost and an explanation, so don't just put a number here. Please explain what that cost includes within that text. The Office for Global Engagement manages all of the accounts and indexed used for study abroad programs. These accounts are funded generally by student program fees that we charge based off of the budgets that you include in your program proposal. If your program is lucky enough to have grants, donations, scholarships, or UVU Foundation money, please include that in your proposal at the time of proposal so that we can charge the students an accurate program cost. Your department or college can transfer funds to subsidize a program only if the subsidy pays for all students on a program. You can't subsidize individual students with a transfer of this nature. The Office for Global Engagement can help you work with the Scholarships and Financial Aid Office in order to provide scholarships to specific students if you have money for that. Please do not wait until the spring semester to start cobbling money together because it complicates the student accounting process. The last chance to readjust your budget is in February before we charge student accounts. Faculty are compensated for leading summer study abroad programs at a different rate than they are for teaching summer loads here on campus. Tuition for summer study abroad programs is $165 per credit hour. Students generally take between 3 to 6 credit hours on a study abroad program. 60% of the tuition generated is paid directly to faculty as wages. This is before taxes. 13% is held in reserve to pay taxes, payroll taxes, and other benefits for the faculty. 7% of the amount that is generated goes to a faculty development fund that can be accessed by your dean to develop future programs. 20% of the tuition generated is used by the Office for Global Engagement to pay a student worker and for scholarships for students. At the bottom you can see a compensation example for a study abroad program with one faculty program director who recruits 10 students who each enroll for 2 summer study abroad courses. The faculty program director would be paid $5,940 before taxes in wages. The Office for Global Engagement makes payment to faculty after the registrar's last date for dropping classes. This means that you may not get paid until after the program starts, which may be well into your program or even after you come back from your program. The Office for Global Engagement does not control the timing of payments as this is a payroll process. Faculty should not rely on their compensation for teaching the course for any program out-of-pocket expenses that they need. You can get a cash advance from the travel office before you leave for any out-of-pocket expenses. That way you don't have to rely on waiting for your next paycheck so that you have enough money for your per diem. You should be aware of the impacts, both good and bad, that your program may have on local communities that you will be visiting. If your program will be engaging in service learning, you should be familiar with the Forum on Education Abroad's guidelines for community engagement, service learning, and volunteer experiences abroad. I have a copy of this here in my office. Please feel free to come and borrow it from me if you need it. There are many NGOs and academic institutions that are engaged in an active discussion about service learning and study abroad. The ABCD Institute, the Asset-Based Community Development Institute, is a good place to start. UVU's Center for Social Impact is another good place to go to if you are going to be doing service learning abroad. They have a lot of theory that they can back your program up with. All students go through a cultural orientation provided by UVU Professor Brian Waite. Brian can work with you if you would like information on how to facilitate understanding of concepts he explains in the training while you are out with students in the field. The Forum on Education Abroad also has guidelines for language learning abroad. Please feel free to come in and borrow this publication from me if you need it. If your program is going to be working with a language institute, please make sure that you as the faculty have enough contact hours with the students to justify the credit hours that they will be receiving as UVU credit. Once your program is approved, the Office for Global Engagement will provide an application process for students. We will also help you recruit for the program. Do 2 study abroad expos that we will invite you to so that you can table and meet with students that might be interested in your program. We provide marketing materials, an online application with the faculty window so that you can see applications as they come in real time. The application deadlines for most program is going to be February 1st unless you indicate otherwise on your program proposal. After the application deadline, you will have a chance to readjust your budget. Please invite the Office for Global Engagement to any recruiting meetings or information sessions that you have so that we can answer questions about the application process. The Office for Global Engagement sends post-program surveys to students to get their feedback. Most students give very positive feedback explaining how study abroad has been a life-changing experience for them. Some students do complain, and the most common complaint we get from students is that they don't know what they're going to do each day. They often complain that there was no program itinerary or that each day they always had to ask their professor what they're going to be doing that day. Please include a programming itinerary in your program proposal. Even if you have to change the itinerary, give the students an idea of what they're going to be doing. The second complaint is similar to the first one, is that the faculty program director was not familiar with the country and/or was disorganized. They complain that the faculty was kind of making the program up on the fly as they went. The purpose of the proposal is to help you think through these things so that you are organized before you go. If you aren't familiar with the country, then you really need to be doing a site visit and becoming familiar with the country before you take students there. Another common complaint that we get is that church activities were included as part of the program. A lot of students, especially non-LDS students, feel left out when the rest of the group goes to church on Sunday. Even if it's an unofficial part of the program, if the faculty leader is the one that's coordinating it and taking students to church, other students feel like they're left out and feel like there should be more of a separation of church and state and that there shouldn't be a church activity as part of the program, even if it isn't an official part of the program. Another thing that students often say is that they want to know what program fees are going to. We don't itemize exactly how much where every penny goes to, but we do on our website explain what is included in the program cost and what is not included in the program cost. Students sometimes express surprise that they didn't know that they were supposed to pay for meals, for example, even when it was on the website. But when you do your budget, please make sure that you give a very good detailed budget on what's included and what's not included so we can pass that information on to students so that there's no surprises. You should also talk about these things in your pre-departure orientations so that there's no surprises for students. So after you have recruited enough students for your program and before you depart, I'll go through another faculty program director pre-departure orientation with you. In that orientation, we'll talk about the requirement for the program faculty director to provide site-specific orientations for students. We'll talk about procurement logistics, things like concur requests, wire transfers, travel cards, cash advances. We'll talk about the GeoBlue insurance and how to access the insurance. We'll talk about health and safety, Title IX, Clery Act. We'll talk about the student code of conduct, how to send a student home if you have to. We'll talk about university policies. Hopefully that orientation will give you timely information that you can use while you are abroad. The Office for Global Engagement is here to be a resource for you. There are other resources that you can go to for information on how to lead a study abroad program. I've mentioned several times already in this orientation about the Forum on Education Abroad. You can request a login to see any of the member resources since UVU is a member of that organization, like sample syllabi or other best practices. I also have a set of Lonely Planet guidebooks in here that you're free to come and browse and borrow and look through that can give you ideas. please feel free to meet with me. My name is Brent Spencer. I'm the Director of Global Academic Programming. My office is in LA 111. You can email me to make an appointment, and I'd be happy to go over your proposal with you, talk through any scenarios, and give you any advice. I'm always happy to look through your proposal drafts to make sure that there's not going to be any problems with them when you try to submit them on September 2nd. Another resource for you is the Office for Global Engagement's website. There's a Faculty Program Director Handbook on the Faculty tab of that website. There's a section on the scope of the roles and responsibilities of faculty program directors. You can read that to see what the steps are for a faculty-led study abroad program before, during, and after the program. There's a section there on strong study abroad proposals and what a strong proposal would include. There's a section in there on recruitment strategies to help you recruit enough students for your study abroad program. And there's also a section in there on the services that the Office for Global Engagement provides, so you can get a detailed listing of what we will do to help promote the program, how we support the program while you're abroad, and how we support it when you come home. So please check out our website. Please come in and meet with me before you turn in your proposal, and we look forward to working with you on your study abroad program. Thanks.